In this video, we are going to learn how to graph exponential functions. So in order to graph the following function, f of x equals 4 to the power of x, we are going to build a table. Now I'm going to do my work down here, so I'm going to write it as y equals 4 to the x. And so we're going to start out with plugging in x value in of -2. So when we plug in -2, we get 4 to the power of -2. Now, first of all, you have to understand that negative powers will flip your base. So when I have a 4 to a negative power, that's the same as having 1 over 4 to whatever the positive power would be. So 4 to the -2 is the same as 1 over 4 squared, and if I simplify that, that's 1 over 16. So in my table, I would put 1 over 16 in that first slot. All right, next, when x is -1, my y will be 4 to the -1st. So again, that negative power is going to cause me to flip it and say 1 over 4 to the positive first. And 1 over 4 to the first is just simply 1 over 4. So up here, I'm going to put in the value 1/4. When x is 0, my y is 4 to the power of 0. And so when we have a base, such as 4 being raised to a power of 0, we're going to always get a value of 1. When my x is 1, my y value is 4 to the 1st. So 4 to the 1st is simply 4. And then finally, when my x value is 2, my y value is 4 squared. 4 squared would give me 16. Now, I like to draw the graph myself and then pick the correct one. And so when I'm graphing this, when my x is -2 and the y is 1/16, that's just barely above the x-axis. At -1, I'm at 1/4, so that's also barely above. At 0, we're at 1. At 1, we are at 4. And then at 2, we're way up at 16. So this will be the general shape of my graph. So when I look at the answers, of course, B and D cannot be it. So then I start looking at the values that I've got for graph A and C. And I notice that the first 3 points look good. When I look for the point 1,4, this appears to be at 1,4. This one does not. So A would be my correct answer there. Okay, we're doing the same thing on this question, except now our base, notice, is a number less than 1. So we're still going to build a table, plugging in these values. So starting with x being -2, my y value is going to be 1/2 raised to a power of -2. And as I mentioned on the first problem, negative powers are going to flip the base. So when you flip 1 over 2, it just becomes 2 over 1, or simply 2. And then the power is positive. So 2 squared becomes 4. When x is equal to -1, my y value is going to be the base of 1/2 raised to the -1st. So again, that negative power will flip the base over. So it becomes 2 again. Now it's to the positive first. 2 to the 1st is 2. When my x is 0, y is going to be my base of 1/2 raised to the 0 power. So a base to a 0 power is 1. When my x is 1, my y is going to be 1/2 raised to the 1st. So that's simply 1/2. And when my x is 2, my y is going to be 1/2 squared. When you square a fraction, you simply square the top and square the bottom, so I get 1 over 4. So again, if I look at this graph, at -2, my y value was 4. -1, my y value is 2. At 0, my y value is 1. At 1, I'm at 1/2. And at 2, I'm at 4. So notice this graph comes in decreasing towards the x-axis. So all of the graphs in my picture this time are decreasing. So now I'll look at specific points. You'll notice that 0, 1 should be on the graph, so that throws out graph D as well as B. And then I start looking at the fact that negative 1, 2 should be on the graph. And so when I look here, notice it's not quite there. And then also negative 2, 4. And same thing, that one's not there. So C is my correct graph there.